united in the struggle. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be unidos en la lucha. Unidos en la lucha, no nos moverán. Unidos en la lucha, no nos moverán como una voz. Firme, firme junto a Dios, no nos moverán.
Enjoying life. Best I can.
We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be
Hey there, what's up? Set it aside though.
Hello? Yes, my name is Paul Pumphrey, and I'm on the coordinating committee of the Black Alliance for Peace, as well as a founding member of the board of Friends of the Congo. I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening, this morning. I think we're still in morning. Okay, I want to thank everybody for coming out today for an important event, and that is we're not going to forget the injustice that has been going on in this country, especially with excessive police brutality. And we want to start off this morning by inviting Mrs. Rice to share some of her thoughts about this last 7 years and with the unnecessary death of her son. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. November 22nd will be 7 years that I've been fighting for justice for my son. It has not been easy, let me tell y'all. A lot of sleepless nights to have to bury a 12-year-old in a most horrific way when it comes to the genocide that continues to happen on Black and brown American citizens. Let me say it's horrific. So I just wanted to say thank you all for coming out today and let you all know that the Biden administration, I'm asking for them to reopen Tamir's case. Tamir's case, his civil rights was violated, and they really need to open his case. The last administration felt it was probable cause to convene a grand jury. The Trump administration just sat on it and didn't answer their own career prosecutors that works within the DOJ. So I have a meeting tomorrow with the DOJ, and I'm asking that they reopen Tamir's case on a federal level because of his civil rights was violated, and he was 12 years old. I just have no understanding how I don't have an indictment for Timothy Loman or Frank Granback at this time because of the horrific way my son was murdered. I'm still fighting on the state level as well too, but since the DOJ has not given me a clear answer on why they will not open Tamir's case, I'm here to see if they could give me some questions in person. Yeah. So I'm also the founder and CEO of the Tamir Rice Foundation, which is a youth center in Cleveland, Ohio that offer after-school programming. That is our way of giving back to the community to make sure that we teach our children about our history, where we come from, and do not limit our children or label our children. Tamir was quite talented. He is the youngest of my four siblings. Uh, and it will always be a piece missing from the puzzle, of my puzzle and things like that. Um, there's so much, how can I say this? This is a corporation that we live in, guys, and we really need to figure out how we could come together on one accord to support one another, realizing that the police, they're private citizens and they do not go according to our laws, so we have to create change with laws and committee, doing legislation and laws and things like that to get some of the laws changed out here in this country. We are aware of genocide, like I said earlier, being committed in this country for over decades, 401 years from my understanding. I kind of had to re-educate myself coming out of American system, where it was lack of knowledge about who we were, and they wanted to teach us their culture. So I'm just really learning, about, who I am and where I come from, actually, and I'm not turning back. So my job is to keep going and to continue to teach and teach people to love on one another and teach the truth about our culture, our culture and our history as black and brown people in this country. Genocide has been committed on us for over 401 years, y'all. It is time for a change. It is time for them to redo the Constitution. I wouldn't say amend it. I say redo it because no one's following it. They break their own laws. So I think it needs to be redone over. Also, I believe we need to do away with the Police Bill of Rights as well.
That's right.
Is allowing them to get away with murder and change people's lives and destroy people's lives. Let me just say that. I believe we need to do away with the Garrity law as well. It gives them, police officers, immunity, All of that needs to be done away with, if you ask me, especially where this country is and policing in this country. They talk about reform. It has to start somewhere. So I would just hope that American citizens can see what this country has to offer and want to help be the change in this country, for we all can live safely and equally at the end of the day, right? But again, we are in this country from the land of the lays, right? The powers of the laws. So I would hope that people are listening and watching, and people all over this country, the suburban, the rural, the urban communities, the Latin communities, all the cultures around the universe right now should be watching and watching and seeing that we need a change. We definitely need a change, you all. I still have 3 other children left. I'm a grandmother as well. And my kids are not doing well because of the death of their brother. You know, it's not easy for siblings to lose their brother in the most horrific way when he's being plastered all over the news constantly. So I'm still a mom at the end of the day. I try to live a normal life, but also I have to represent and show that I am strong out here for my children, for the community, and I thank the community for standing when I can't even stand up sometimes, and just supporting and believing in Tamir and that he deserves justice, you know. So I appreciate you all coming out and supporting me and things like that, and always supporting Tamir, even when I can't. You know, it's not easy. And again, I didn't even have a chance to grieve Tamir because I've been fighting daily, every day, trying to make change in this country and participate where need to be when it comes to policing and making it uncomfortable. You know, they shouldn't have to go to sleep at night and be in peace, you know, because I don't have any good nights where I do sleep or rest, honestly. Busy trying to make change laws and things like that. So I will hope that people understand that we have to love on one another. We have to love on one another and love on one another, and we have to get along for the most part. We are in this country together. Yeah, and we have to learn how to get along. I hate when I hear people say, go back to your country, because at the end of the day, none of us belong in this country. Know that it was the Indians' country and the Indonesia, the black Indians country first. So just know that it was black people on this land called Turtle Island, and I just hate when I hear that. So we're gonna have to come together. I'm willing to have these conversations, these difficult conversations with the Biden administration, with whoever I need to have them with at the end of the day. I'm willing to have those uncomfortable conversations for our people to see some change in this country at the end of the day. If we don't see any change, you all, the country is slowly crumbling. Let me tell you, it's crumbling. Right now, they're trying to put a what they call that, population control and things like that with the COVID vaccine. I believe it should be your own freedom of speech and right to do what you want to do with your body. So just keep in mind that this country is a corporation, and we're gonna have to see some change by all of us working together and staying in our lane. What I do understand and notice that it's a lot of Indians out there, and there's a lot of chiefs out there, but we need more Indians because there's only certain ones that can actually lead us. And I am one of the leaders out here. I did not ask for this. This just came to me. And, you know, I don't have to be quiet. You know, I can speak. You know, I don't have to be quiet. So, at the end of the day, I'm going to always speak Tamir's voice. I'm going to always advocate for my child. And if anybody wants the truth about my family or my child, they need to come and talk to me. Please don't listen to what the blogs say out there. Please don't listen to what people say out there. My son was 12 years old playing with a toy gun in the park in the open carry state. He had every right to do that. The policies and the procedures was broken that day, and we already know that police are uneducated. uneducated and undertrained. We understand that. We see that. So Tamir definitely deserves justice. So do a lot of other people. But for my 12-year-old son, I am advocating, and I'm always his voice for justice at the end of the day. So I'm hoping the Biden administration will hear me and understand that they need to do right in this situation and open up Tamir's case on the federal level. So I'm hoping to have some information later this week about it, and I can share it with you all. So, Josiah. Thank you.
Justice. I don't care how about it, but it's justified.
We who believe in justice cannot rest until it comes.
Listen, I'm being very quiet.
I'd like to first thank our cultural workers who are an important part of our struggle. They're the ones who, in fact, often takes this first lead in what we're doing, and they, in fact, take our message and put it to song. So again, on behalf of this meeting today, I want to thank our cultural workers.
More than 100 semi-truck, 100 semi-truck that loaded with maybe 20 to 30,000 cardboard boxes that contain 70 million copy of paper ballot to vote. That printing,
Socialists, the Party for Socialism and Liberation here in the U.S. and around the world. So, Sean, please.
20 to 30 million.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Let me hear you say justice for Tamir. 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 That's right. We're out here today demanding justice for Tamir Rice. I want to thank you all so much for being out here today and for having me here today. My name is Sean Blackman. I'm here on behalf of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. And you know something that I noticed in this struggle against racist police terror in the United States is that long after the cameras have stopped flashing, long after the headlines have stopped running, long after the marches and the chantings has calmed down, it's always the mothers, it's always the families that have to continue on and to push and fight and struggle for justice for their loved ones. And we have to continue to join them and share in their tenacity, in their steadfastness, pushing for justice in these cases. So give Ms. Rice and her family another round of applause, please. To understand what happened to young Tamir Rice, who was a child. And it's so important to say that because particularly when young black people,
that President Biden, now that's impeachable
from oppressed
offense.
communities
When they fire
are
Andrew
brutalized and killed by
now
the
after
police,
impeachment, and I'm
even though they're
predicting
children,
President Biden
they're made
will
out to
be
be
prosecuted.
adults. They're made out
And
to be
after
criminals. They're made out to be
prosecution, President Joe Biden will be the first American president to go to jail. It's my prediction. My name is Liutrac, Liutrac. And I thank God my pastor writing a presidential limousine with Trump.
To be out here doing
And my
what they're
contact
doing
address
today,
is 13 New York Avenue, Washington, D.C.
that Tamir Rice was a human being who deserved to live and who should be here right now. And the reason why racist police terror continues the way that it does is because of how the institution of police originated in and of itself. We know that the police emerged out of the institution of slavery. From the very beginning, the reason that the police exist is to surveil, harass, brutalize, and kill black people. That has always been the aim. And not only that, because you know how the police say that they're in place to protect and serve? Well, that's true. But what they serve is the interest of the ruling class, and what they protect is their property. And that goes back to the days when black people were property. And so in the same way that children were not exempt from the horrors of slavery, from the horrors of peonage, from the horrors of sharecropping, from the horrors of Jim Crow, neither are they exempt from the ravages of racist police terror. This is how important the police are to maintaining this racist capitalist system. And we have to call it that, because white supremacy and capitalism are intertwined. You cannot have one without the other. And so the reason that we continue to see so many police killings and so many issues of police violence that go on, oftentimes unpunished, is because there is a culture of impunity, a hedge of protection around the police, because it is their job to do just that. And so in the same way that you don't arrest a teacher for teaching or a baker for baking, this government and this system isn't interested in punishing them for murder and brutality, because from the standpoint of this system, that very murder and that very brutality is their job. And that is why things like an officer Bill of Rights is so important. I'm so glad that Ms. Rice brought that up. A lot of people don't know about the officer's Bill of Rights. What that means is that cops are doubly protected. They literally have more rights than you and I as civilians. That's how important police are to maintaining this system. And so, what is going to really make the change? Just this past summer, we saw millions of people out into the streets fighting against racist police terror after the killing of George Floyd. And what was the response from this government and this system? Democrats and Republicans tried to crush this movement militarily. Right there in front of that church where we just were, President Donald Trump had protesters brutally cleared with tear gas, with stun grenades, with rubber bullets, with all of that, right? And so the only reason that Derek Chauvin was ultimately charged and sentenced in that was because of pressure from a movement. And so that same movement and that same pressure that was placed on this system in the case of George Floyd is the very pressure that we have to continue and keep up when we fight for justice for Tamir Rice and for all of the victims of racist police terror. Justice for Tamir!
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 I want to thank you all again for having me today. I'm Sean Blackman with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Peace if you're willing to fight for it, and let your motto be resistance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sean. We're now going to move the program on a little further to having Tiger come here from Anabayon and let him explain a little bit about his organization and his work in the struggle for peace and justice.
All right, thank you, Paul. You all hear me? Yeah. So my name is Tiger, and I'm here on behalf of Anabayon, DC, a grassroots organization of Filipino youth fighting for social justice, national liberation. So Anak Bayan in Tagalog means children of the people. Tamir Rice was also a child of the people. He grew up in a working class family like so many of us. And just like other kids this age, he had dreams, funny stories, and a whole future in front of him. But all of this was cut short by the bullets of 2 policemen. He was only 12, not even a teenager. Tamir never got a chance to live his life, while the murderers, his murderers, are still enjoying theirs. But Tamir's story is not unique. It is the story of so many working class black youths, so many children of the people who are dying every day under this rotten system. They're being targeted because the ruling class knows the youth is the future of the community. They want to take away our future. The Filipino people are feeling the same pain. In 2017, a Thursday night, in Manila, capital city of the Philippines, a 17-year-old by the name of Kian de los Santos was looking after the convenience store for his parents. Down the street, 2 police officers were trying to have some fun. They got hold of Kian, tortured him, and when they got tired, they gave him a gun and told him to run. And they shot him from the back. Later, they claimed that Kian was a drug runner and had a gun. Kian's story is not unique either. He is one of the over 30,000 casualties of President Duterte's war on drugs, which is closely modeled after the same war on drugs here in the United States. However, we know that drugs is just an excuse. In reality, it is a war against the poor, against the most marginalized communities, and against our children. As Filipino youths, we want to cherish the memory of Tamir Rice and affirm our determination to stop this war from claiming more innocent young lives, both here and in the Philippines. We demand to reopen the investigation now and indict and convict Timothy Loman and Fred Garmbach. Justice for Tamir Rice.
Justice for Tamir Rice.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tiger. One of the things that I like to encourage everybody here to do is ask the question, why? Why is it that the police are allowed to get away with what they're doing in this country? It's clear they're doing things that are wrong. But why is it that this government allows it to happen? And then the question is, what is the real role of the police? Why do they exist in the first place? And all the way back to the old slave catchers, the police department was to protect the interests of the super rich in robbing the rest of the people. Whether they robbed them of their labor, robbed them of their life, but that's the role of the police. And so they end up doing things and getting a pass because their real role is to protect the super rich of our country today. It's clear that if they had shot someone, a child who was 12 years old and had a few $1 billion in their bank account, those police would have been taken to task without anybody going to the streets because they broke the cardinal rule. Their main role is to protect the interests of the super rich. And as they protect the interests of the super rich, then and only then, they are the ones that get rewarded by being allowed to go on and carry out their crimes against humanity. And this is done inside of our country in the police department and outside of our country with the military. Next, we're going to bring up a student here from Howard University with the Claudia Jones School, and I'll let him tell you a little bit about the school.
Hey everybody, so my name is Aaron Boo. I'm a member of a popular political education project at Howard University called the Claudia Jones Club. And before I begin, I would kind of just like to express my gratitude on behalf of the Claudia Jones Club. So thank you to everyone who allowed us to be here. Thank you for letting us come out here and stand in solidarity with you. And yeah, so I was born on February 7, 2002. Tamir Rice was only born June 25th, 2002. We were the same age when he was killed. What happened to him could have happened to me. Could still have happened to any other black or brown kid in this country. None of us are safe. Any one of us could be next. And while that's a very terrifying reality for our families, ultimately, it is the struggle for liberation that unites us above all else. And specifically, it's the struggle for black liberation that is what forced us out here to take to the streets, mobilize our communities, and get our demands met. Because that is how we go about building a movement capable of abolishing the institutions that perpetuate our subjugation and oppression. And while this task may seem very daunting, again, we are not alone. We are never alone. The struggle to abolish the systems that continually fail to address the needs and interests of working people of color can only be accomplished when our communities come together. Our communities have to come together and admire the work of revolutionaries who stood here before us today. We have to be sincere, if we are sincere in our desires to build a movement that is capable of affirming the lives of black and brown children. We are going to have to start learning from our history. And our history is one defined by struggle. This struggle has taken many forms and shapes throughout the ages, but it has always had two most notable characteristics. On one hand, it is a struggle for abolition, a struggle for the abolition of the machines that perpetuate our oppression, from the eras of chattel slavery and sharecropping to Jim Crow and the prison industrial complex. On the other hand, the struggle has also had an incredibly democratic element to it. It's been about fighting to create new democratic institutions that expand people's controls over their own communities. And so understanding the struggle for black liberation becomes one that necessitates simultaneously understanding the balance between democracy and abolition. We have to fight to abolish all of these harmful systems that continually exploit poor communities of color. And on the other hand, we also have to fight for the creation of new systems that guarantee working class people of color's right to self-determination and well-being. Because that is how we end the genocide of black and brown lives, and that is how we get justice for Tamir Rice today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.